all right. We are live with another special episode. We have our main man, Adam. How do you say last name? Campion? Like champion, but without the H?
Yeah.
That's
Campion.
pretty hot. I like that. Campion. On the pod today, some pretty cool ones lately. I mean, we recorded another one yesterday about kind of vintage racing. Now I think we're going to get on the old quarter mile, maybe. I don't know, 8th mile. I don't know what it is. We'll talk trap times, maybe. I don't know. I have no idea anything about about drag racing, but I'm going to act like I do because I'm an American and that's what we do best, right?
I was going to say, surely you're born and bred on straight lines, aren't you, Mike?
You know, I've been to... So my auto tech teacher growing up, Mr. Watson, he was a drag racer. It still is. And I'm going to act like I know. He had one of the cool, long, skinny ones with the fat tires in the back. Not
nice technical terms there,
you
Mike.
know, not like a top fuel or anything, but you know, whatever. It
Like
looked
a
like
slingshot.
it looked like top fuel, but not. I don't think it was. You know what I'm saying? But it was what. Yeah, it was super cool. And he had that in the shop, and we, get to kind of fix little things on it. Maybe mostly probably just wash it for him. And he had a sweet Nova that he dragged, and then I'm trying to blank on the other one. Maybe like a Monte Carlo, I think. But yeah, he still does it, and he does like that. I don't know if. I mean, I'm sure you guys know. Maybe it's like drag week or drag whatever, and you kind of
Drag Week's so cool.
You drive your race car from track to track. He's done that a couple times and it looks so fun. I know they do that though. They do that with like drifting too, don't they?
Yeah, there's Drift Week now as well. Yeah, it's been going for a few years, I think.
All right. Didn't know that. Dragon Drive's the way I got into it. It's quite good fun. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks fun. I mean, anything when you're going fast in a car is fun. So like I don't think there's a racing that I'm not interested in. Drag racing obviously seems very, very fun, but I feel like it's one of those that's like you might be, but shoot, I don't know. Racing your car just busts it up in general, but I don't know. I guess we'll get into that.
Yeah, it's something that you should just have a go at. If you fancy it, just have a go because you haven't got to
Yeah.
go fast this to have fun. It's brilliant.
Yeah,
It looks
That's
good
the-
fun.
that seems like the running theme here is with any type of racing, just having a go at it and figuring out which one you fancy best, I guess.
Yeah.
So before we jump into it any further, everyone go look at Adam's Instagram, Adam Campion Cars. He also has a YouTube. I believe it's The Car is Life.
That's it. Yeah.
Is that the actual handle? Yeah, that is.
Yeah.
The Car is Life. Go check those out while you're listening to the pod, and you can kind of see what we're talking about. So, rolling back into it, what came first, the Mini or the drag racing?
The Mini, definitely the Mini. I bought the Mini. Well, yeah, probably. Yeah, it is the Mini. I think I got the Mini and started certainly watching drag racing around a similar time. It was about 2016 I bought the Mini, and that was about the time I started watching YouTube and all sorts of people like Bad Obsession Motorsport, Matt Green, and various others, and that led into watching some drag racing channels and starting to enjoy that as well. So they were kind of a similar time, but the Mini was the main thing. It was I actually had another Mini in 2016 that I bought and sold, and then wanted to get a restoration project. So just like
Brave
all the
man.
guys are doing on YouTube. So that's what I did.
YouTube is always the rabbit hole for something, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Only bad ideas looking YouTube.
So in 2016, that was your first Mini. That's kind of were you looking for a Mini, or did it kind of stumble upon it? Tell us about your Mini story.
That one wasn't my first. I bought my first Mini when I was about 18 out of a scrapyard. I was in there for bits I had a Nissan Micra, K10 Micra, and I was in the scrapyard for bits for that with a friend, and we stumbled across this Mini, and it looked exactly like my Mini does, pageant blue, 10x6 Weller wheels and white roof, and I just thought it looked amazing. I wanted it, so I went to knock on the door. How much do you want for the whole car? And it was like 150 quid. I'll have it. So they delivered it for 50 quid, and my dad, obviously I lived with my parents. My dad's face was a picture saying that was going to be taking place in the garage instead of his beloved Volvo. And I didn't. Sadly, I was young. I just finished college, just started out my working life. I didn't have the skills or the patience to restore it. It ended up going back to the scrapyard in a few more pieces than what I bought it in. But that kind of left me with always wanting to finish that, to get that car finished. So in 2016, me and a friend of mine stumbled across one between us. It was for sale locally, reasonably cheap. Just needed a very little bit of get it running and a couple of holes welded up, and we enjoyed it for the summer and sold it on. And that left me I really want one of my own now to recreate that one back when I was 18. So yeah, late 2016, I went and found this one for 350 quid.
Once you get that bug, you get that bug, don't you? It's there for life now.
Yeah, that's it.
Dang, so you're a man after my own heart. You're picking up these minis for pennies on the dollar. I love it.
Yeah.
Or how would you say that phrase in the UK? Pennies on the dollar. Would you say quid on the pound? No, pence on the pound.
So I don't know. It's just
you don't have that phrase over there.
No, not one I'm really familiar with. No, it's
bang for the buck.
Well, we're gonna coin this right now on the podcast. Pennies on the dollar just means like you paid very cheap for something. So you only So I'm gonna phrase. Yeah, we're doing pence on the pound. Something like that. Hey, look at that. We're creating phrases right now. So that's awesome though. I love that because I got mine on a trade on Craigslist for a motorcycle that I got free. And it was amazing. And then my other one I got for $1,500 on this other site, and it happened to be a Mark I Cooper S. So that was a pretty big really come up there.
US especially.
That was yeah, exactly. So what was this? So your current one, the blue one that you currently have, you got in 2016. What was the condition like? What did you have to do to it, or was your plan? What was your plan, and how did we deviate to drag racing?
I started out I just wanted a Mini, because to me there's all sorts of, like, you've got a Cooper S and there's all sorts of different variants of Minis, and
sure.
To me they're all the same really. You can buy whatever Mini you want, change the suspension and engine, it could be as good as a Cooper S in theory. It's not got the heritage or the I guess the value, but it's essentially going to be the same. So I just wanted a Mini. I wanted to build the best Mini I could. A little flaw in that plan is that I'm incredibly impatient and like to rush things and not quite do things properly. So I just set out just to get it roadworthy and running and driving. When I got it, it was a rolling shell. It had animals living inside of it. By the smell of it, it was horrendous. So all of the interior went in the bin immediately. I got rid of the 850 engine. I think I got 40 quid for it on eBay, because I was never going to run it with an 850. And then, I just set about patching it up. I cut the front end off because that was quite rusty. Went for a fiberglass front, mostly because it's cheap, also because you can remove it and get to everything. Just kind of set about. There's always a way to do things. When you're restoring a car, you can get certain things done by external companies and, sandblasting and painting, and spend many thousands of pounds and make it really, really nice. But one, I haven't got many thousands of pounds to spend on things, and two, I just like to try and do things as cheaply as I can. So I always kind of restoring it was, how can I do this a bit cheaper? Put the time and effort into making a aftermarket non-genuine panel fit rather than buying the genuine one that's going to fit a lot quicker. That sort of thing.
I love that motto, that ethos, or whatever you want to call it, because I forget. it's in my bio. I forget exactly what it says, but it's like, you know, take what you have and build it into something you'll enjoy. And you know, all my things that I've had is, you know, I didn't have thousands of dollars to spend on it. Obviously, I try to get the best of what I can, but I scour the internet for either a good aftermarket, good used one, whatever it is. And it's not necessarily that I'm trying to cut corners, but I know that you can do it cheaper. One, by doing it yourself, and then two, by, you know, searching for good deals and things like that. Tell us a little bit about kind of what you've done to this and how you kind of accomplished that, because I feel like people are always like, oh, just send me the link, like, and they're just dropping money. And it's like, I mean, maybe if you want to do that, but it's kind of satisfying to me to find those like deals, find a better way, an easier way, a cheaper way, perhaps.
Yeah. I think, yeah, like I say, just taking stuff and doing it yourself. All the suspension, the subframes. I was really lucky that both subframes were in really good condition. There was no rust on either of them. So just taking the time, I did it. I made one video where I took the rear subframe into the boot of the car and took it to the local supermarket jet wash, because you don't want to wash all that grease and dirt all over your own drive at home, do you? So took it to the supermarket.
I bet you got some funny looks with that.
Yeah, give it a good wash out there, and then took it home, and then just wire wheeling it and giving it a coat of paint myself. I mean, I could have paid somebody to sandblast and powder coat it, but that would have been 150 quid, maybe a couple £100, and it's more money out of the pot.
What's that? £2 in the jet wash and £5 for a can of paint. Job done. Yeah,
and that's it. just doing that sort of thing yourself, really. It just and finding out the information, like. And I like to prove that when people say, oh, you can't do it that way, you've got to do it this way, this is the way, it's the only way it works. And I like to prove sometimes that that's not always true. Like radius arms, when you put the bronze bush in a radius arm, you're meant to buy the long tool with a piece that, you know, make sure you go dead square, and to I forget the name.
The reaming tool, I think.
The reaming tool, that's the one. But I thought, well, those tools are quite expensive, 120 quid for a tool I'm going to probably use one. So I thought a radius arm kit's 10 quid. I might as well give it a go with a with a normal reaming bit. So I just set it up, eyed it up as square as I could, sort of straight edges and bits, and then just wound it through and put the pin through, and it went through perfectly. So proved you could do that.
That's probably what they did in the factory anyway. Like,
well, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Probably eyeballed it, and you know.
That would do. It must have been a Friday afternoon.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of minis that have been restored that are better than factory now, because people pay attention to panel gaps and stuff, don't they? All those sorts of tolerances.
Yeah, absolutely. Like something I did too with the cone compressor tool is I just made my own. I got a piece of threaded rod, cut it down to size, a couple washers and bolts, and for $10 I made a tool versus 50 or whatever it is. Yeah, I love that kind of stuff, and it works just as great. And I've haven't had to use it that many times, but
it's that age-old saying, though, isn't it? If it works, it's not stupid.
Yeah, that's it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
There you
go. Yeah, I think with doing stuff like that, I decided it was during the pandemic. Towards the end of the pandemic, I got a 998 A plus in the Mini, and I decided I wanted to fit a 12G 940 1275 head. So
good man.
With doing that, if you've got a standard cam, then it's no problem. The valves don't open far enough to hit the block. But I've got a Mini Spares Evo cam, which I did loads of. I don't think it's not on my whiteboard anymore. I had loads of sums and pictures written all over my whiteboard, working out the lift, how far the cam would come down, the depth of the head, and I worked out that I think it was the valve opened 2 mil more than I've got space. So obviously you can send your block to a machine shop and get some pockets machined, and that's all very expensive, isn't it? So I set about my block with a die grinder, drill bit, and various other tools, and made my own pockets, and it worked.
You must have been so nervous doing that at the first.
Yeah, I was. Yeah, but 998 blocks. I think the price have gone up a little bit in the last year or two, maybe. But at the time, I'd paid. Well, when I put the engine in the car, I paid 150 quid or something for a complete engine and gearbox. So I thought they're probably cheap enough if I mess this up to go and find another one at the time.
Yeah, fair shout.
So yeah, it
You
worked.
know,
Making sure I didn't go.
people do
deep
that all
enough
the time with. Yeah, people do that all the time though with the head. Why not? Why
Yeah,
not with the
yeah.
block? I mean, it's not gonna be
Yeah.
as precise, but I guess
No.
realistically for that, you're just kind of shaving down the little bit of material where the valve
Yeah,
is coming, right? Like it's not.
Yeah.
You said it's like 2 mil.
Yeah, I think I went down 3 millimeters in the end, just so it got room for expansion and heat and all that. But yeah, it's just cutting away a little bit of material. As long as there's no major sharp edges and it's got space for the whole valve. I mean, it's fine.
Mhm.
It worked all right. Never had any problems with it. So
So have you completed that? Have you run that engine yet?
yeah,
Does it work?
I did that late 2020, and then I ran that engine up until let me think. I think we moved house in October 20, so I ran that engine into 2021. About a year I ran it, probably put 5,000 or 6,000 miles on it, and then I started on 18 months, I'd say, because I started in early 22 doing an engine swap. So yeah,
I'm curious, and I don't know. Would that affect anything? Like, I guess you could have gone too deep and gone into like an oil galley or something. I don't know. Like, what is the pros and cons of that? Obviously,
Yeah,
pro
I guess.
is saving some money, but like,
Yeah,
is there
yeah.
something?
I think there's a couple of ways it could have gone wrong. Like you say, I could have gone into an oil way or a coolant passage or something like that quite easily. Also, if I'd have gone down too deep, it could have, where the piston comes up, the gap between the top of the piston and the top ring could have been a bit close, and that could have caused damage
There you go.
to the ring. So there was a few bits and pieces that made me nervous of it, but well, it worked. So
See, Sean, now you just take your block to Adam.
Yeah.
I don't want to do
Yeah,
it
you,
again. I think when I made a video on it, there was some of the comments were quite funny. I can't believe you've done that. And what I said in the video was, just because I'm doing this, I'm not telling you it's a good idea, and I wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do it
it's
for
not
somebody
big and
else's
it's not
engine.
clever, yeah.
This is my engine, and I've decided I'm going to do this.
I think I'm gonna send mine to a machine shop, Mike and Adam.
Yeah.
I'm not
I would.
willing to do this.
If I were you. Yeah. No, it's just one of those things. Can you do it for cheaper? Because ultimately, it cost me a gasket set to swap that head over and have the block pocketed, really, didn't it? Because the tools that I already had. So yeah,
What's a good
There
gasket?
you go.
10, 12 quid nowadays.
yeah, that's it.
Job done.
Hey, I love it. You're having a go at it. If it works, it's not stupid, right? We already
exactly.
accomplished that.
That's it.
Yeah.
Okay, so you were running this engine for a while. Did you start drag racing with that engine, or tell us how you
No.
kind of got into drag racing?
No, well, drag racing, like I said before, early probably 2016, 17, I started watching some drag racing channels on YouTube, Cletus McFarland and 1320 Video and things like that. And it's something in the UK. There's a couple of tracks, but they're not nearby, and it's not really a big thing in the UK like in the United States. So I never really thought much about having a go. So one of my favourite things to watch in that kind of space is drag and drive racing, like Hot Rod Drag Week and Sick Week and stuff like that. So last summer, Santa Pod put on Street Weekend, which was a drag and drive where it was over 3 days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Friday at Santa Pod, then a 200-mile drive to Melbourne Raceway in York, and then for Saturday, and then back to Santa Pod for the Sunday. So that was the time I decided, right, now I'm going to have a go. So that was June last year. I went and got stuck into that, and the Friday at Santa Pod, I drove the car there as well, did the 3 days and drove home afterwards. So getting to Santa Pod on that first day and then lining up at the start of the track where Art was racing, and I thought, why have I put this off for so long? Why have I not done this before? And I wasn't that fast, but it's just the whole experience of it. It's not about going as fast as you can always. It's about meeting people and enjoying your car. And yeah,
We've had so many races on the show that say the exact same thing every time. And it's nice to hear that everyone's just there for the fun of it. And like yourself, you go in there for the first time ever, and you don't know what to expect when you go into these sorts of things. So
Yeah.
to sit there nervous on the line and to come away knowing that you've had fun must be such a great feeling to have.
Oh, it's amazing. It's amazing. And when I queued up in the lanes for my second run that day, I had a car pull up behind me. I've got a photo on my Instagram. It's called Ugly Sister. It's the fastest street car in the UK. And just to be sat in the staging lanes with cars like that, and people, you can chat to all of the people in the other cars, and they're as interested in what you're doing as what they're doing, you know, and they've been doing it for years and years. So it's just such a welcoming experience. Brilliant.
It's what you want, isn't it? I mean, at the end
Yeah.
of the day, no one wants to go into a cliquey environment and feel like they're shunned out or anything. So it's nice that, you know, the more experienced guys are sharing that information and welcoming everyone. It's nice to see and hear.
Yeah, yeah. So from doing Street Weekend, I survived the 3 days, which was I think the biggest goal. I got my fastest time on the Sunday was a proper was a fully prepped track race day. They got another class racing on that day, so that was quite different. Because at Santa Pod's a 1/4 mile track, and then Melbourne Raceway's an 1/8 mile unprepped track. So they're quite different each of those 2 days. And then back to Santa Pod on the Sunday, fully prepped, fully sticky. I managed to get my fastest time down, which I did a 15:99, which is not blindingly
That's respectable
quick by drag racing standards, but I think for a mini, it's not bad.
I actually wasn't expecting it to go that fast.
Neither was I. And various trips back to the track for the rest of the summer, and I'd never managed to go anywhere near that fast. I think.
What was the top speed?
85, I think.
That's not bad. Cool. That's not bad. Yeah. So, just for our listeners who don't know anything about drag racing, what is the difference between a prep track and a non-prep track?
So,
good question.
Non-prep track. So, a non-prep track is just normally a tarmac surface, or could be concrete, could be tarmac it's just as you'll find a road, you know, like what's that Street Outlaws TV program they do? That's no prep, no time racing, isn't it? So it's that kind of thing. It's just a normal street, if you like. Whereas a prep track's rubber coated and then sprayed with glue, so makes it a fair bit grippier.
Nice. And then you snap all your drive shafts and prop shafts and
yeah. But when you're running 165 10-inch tyres, you're probably not too worried about drive shafts.
Yeah. Yeah, that's actually kind of interesting. How is it? What is the feeling sensation on a prepped track? Obviously, like you said, you're not running super sticky slicks or anything like that. But you can obviously feel the difference of the grip. How are you hard launching this mini? Are you kind of slipping the clutch? Like, tell our listeners, because I'm sure there's not too many people that drag race or maybe even kind of know about that.
That's the hardest part of the whole 1/4 mile race. The hardest part, and the part that you're going to gain the most time, I think, is getting that launch right and getting the 60-foot time down, because I've tried to slip the clutch, but because it's a 1.6 Vauxhall engine designed for a I don't know what you call it, like a minivan, people carrier type thing. I guess the clutch is a lot bitier than you might expect. So trying to slip it's really quite hard. So you just got to try and use as much RPM as you can, but without trying not to spin the wheels too much. Sometimes it can help a little bit, and also one of my drive shafts is this big and the other one's sort of this big. So the near side front wheel's always going to struggle for grip a little bit more than the other one. But yeah, you've just got to try and keep the RPM high and slip the clutch as much as you can and rev out first gear and not hit the rev limiter. You don't realise how short your gears are until you're on a racetrack, and because on the road you might have hedges and stuff at the side of you, so you get a real feeling of the speed, don't you? But on the track, and it's quite wide and open, you don't. So all of a sudden you hit the rev limiter and you're like that in the seat. Yeah.
Oh man. Before I ask kind of who you're racing against, or if it's just kind of by yourself, or is there any classes that you're kind of competing in, can you kind of quickly break down like what your slip says? Obviously there's your full time, there's your top speed, but what's trap speed? What's the 60 foot. Like what do those mean? Like what is that telling you about your setup or your time or your reaction, etc.?
You got on the timing slip. I should have got one. Should have grabbed one, shouldn't I? But you've got reaction times. The first time on the time slip, and that's the time between you crossing the line at the start from the light turning green. So when you're in that position, you've got to, when you get the amber light, you've got to go, because the time it takes your brain to tell your foot to come off the clutch and the car to move forward, it's that slower normally than the time between the amber and green. So you should go. So you get your reaction time that tells you how quick you were to react. Then the first time's a 60 foot, and the 60 foot it's really a part of the track where it tells you how good your launch was. So I think my best 60 foot time is like 2.2 seconds, which compared to fast people, it's horrendous. I'd really like to get under 2 seconds, but if you can save a tenth on your 60 foot time, it can make far greater difference down the track for your overall time. And then you've got 330, 660. I forget what all the ones are. You've got 1,000 foot and then 1320 for the full quarter. So all of those distances come with mile an hour as well. So you can see as you run when, because as you're going down the track, you're changing gear, and you've got to get the right RPM to change gear. If you miss a gear or if you hit the rev limiter, you can see that difference in your time. So that can really, looking at all the times at each different stage, can really help you optimize the run and kind of get the best from your gear changes. And yeah, it's a lot harder. And a lot of people, even I've been guilty of it before, looking at drag racing. It's just driving in a straight line from one place to another, but it's so much harder than that. So much harder once you've tried.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've watched it a little bit, and like you said, Cletus McFarland and some of those YouTube guys have drag raced, and kind of sent me down the rabbit hole of watching it and trying to learn a little bit. But I can definitely see, like, if you get that slip, guys that are really into it, that have a lot of adjustability in their cars or their gearing or whatever it is, you could really, like, hey, I'm losing a little bit of time here, let's change this, etc. It's really interesting. It's, a very unique thing if you think about it. Is like, how can we make our car go super fast from point A to point B, but it's like it's not just building a fast engine, right? There's so much that go into it, which is pretty unique and pretty interesting. Huh. So are you racing in a certain class, or is it kind of just open and kind of open class and you're just kind of running for time, or are you actually trying to beat the other guy in the lane?
But at street weekend, they didn't have any classes. It was open, so just the fastest car overall won. So the way they worked that out was that each of your times from each track was added together. Lowest time won. So I was probably third from last or fourth from last or something. One of my favourite victories was I wasn't paired up against him, but there was an E46 330 CI had entered, and I got faster than him in the quarter, but he was faster than me in the eighth because it was an unprepped surface. He could launch better than me. So, but anyway, that's by the by. So street weekend,
a win is a win.
Classes. It was just kind of do your own thing and try and go as fast as you can. So since street weekend and I've been back, I've just been to Run What You Brung days and kind of had a look into different race series and different classes that run in the UK, and some of them have got a lot lower barrier to enter than others. So this year I've signed up to enter Outlaw Street, which is a series run mostly on Run What You Brung days, and you kind of set your dial time at the beginning of the season. So I think the first weekend of April, one after the bank holiday, is the first meet. So you go and set your time, and then you're kind of measured against your own time. So you go again, you've got to try and go a little bit faster but close to that time that you set at the beginning. So yeah, it's that's the way that'll be for this season.
It sounds like a blast. Are you trying to get are you getting the itch to try to maybe upgrade to make the car a little bit faster? Are you trying to get some slicks or some stickier tires for that?
Yeah, absolutely. I did try for, I think the last two. Actually, there was one I went with Kev from the Gentleman's Motor Racing team. I got a set of a pair of slicks. They're just a 200 by 540 track tyre, essentially, Pirelli slick. So I put them on the car on some 13-inch wheels, and I actually slowed down when I first went to the track with those because it made my gears so much longer.
Right.
For example, in the 8th mile on the 10-inch wheels, I was crossing the line at the top of 3rd gear, ready to go into 4th, whereas with the 13-inch wheels with slicks on, I was crossing the line at the 1/4 mile in the top of 3rd gear. So that made the gearing a little bit too much. So I got my hands on another gearbox with a slightly closer ratio, and I fitted that, and went back again with the slicks. But then I was finding first gear, because it was a close ratio with a better final drive. It was a 3.9 to 1 instead of a 3.5 to 1 final drive ratio. So I found first gear too short then, really, and I was almost changing gear immediately as soon as I launched. So
right.
So playing games. I have got another gearbox with a 3.7 final drive, so I've got a bit of room to play with.
Right.
Yeah, I think I tried the slicks the first time with Kev from the Gentleman's Motor Racing team. We met at Santa Pod and I beat him. I don't know if he told you. I've not listened to that one yet.
He's kept that one quiet from us, that's for sure.
Yeah, he did. Didn't hear that one.
Yeah.
He's
So
got a
is it
video
the
to make at some point.
Is it the Vauxhall gearbox you're running in that then?
Yeah, it is,
To
yeah.
run. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah,
We kind of completely skipped over this. Tell us a little bit about. So you had the 998 with the 1275 head. When did you decide to do this engine swap, and kind of tell us what it is? For us silly Americans, we don't have Vauxhalls, so we don't know what
Hey,
that
you guys
is.
got General Motors, man. It's all the same boat.
It's got a big GM stamped on the block. So, but yeah,
Okay.
early 2021, we bought my wife a new car. She had a Vauxhall Zafira, which I don't think you get in the US, but they're in Canada and other parts of America, North America, I think. Are they in Canada? I don't know. They're Canada, I think.
They might be Australia as well.
Yeah, I think in Australia there's a Chevrolet Zafira. It's just a very small minivan, I guess. It's 7 seats, quite a small car. 1.6 litre, 16 valve Ecotec, which I think you probably get a lot of the 1.8s maybe in the 2 litre Ecotecs, or 2.2s, I don't know. It's a super common engine in the UK. While it's a much later version and got a lot worse reputation, it's very similar to what came in the mid-90s in Vauxhall Corsa GSIs and things like that. And I think it's a really, really good engine, and they're really, really cheap. So with buying the wife's new car, her old one was decided that was just going to be a donor, and I was going to put the engine in the Mini, because having done the headwork and the cam and stuff on the 998, it was good, but I just wanted it to go a little bit faster. I go out with friends, with Tooney and Paul Jeffries and some of the others, and they'd all just leave me for dust. Steve in his turbo Mini, and I'd be just left at the back somewhere. So I wanted to go a bit faster. And 1275 engines, they're just astronomically priced, aren't they? So I did a bit of looking around, and a 1275 engine, before you took it apart and found that second gear's no good and stuff like that, it's £1,000, isn't it, to buy one?
Easily.
So I thought, I set myself a target. I want to fit this. The engine I considered free, because I just took it out of the wife's old car. It wasn't really worth anything. Scrap the rest. So I thought, for £1,000, I want to put this engine in this Mini. And that's why there's a lot of text. I don't know if you can see it behind me, on that whiteboard behind the bike.
Yeah.
What a mad scientist.
Yeah, writing down what I'd spent on stuff, and I never did the final sums, but I think I pretty much did it for £1,000. Did an engine swap, and
That's not bad.
Yeah, I think so. So yeah, it's that went in there, and then I did things like I bought a job lot of bits with a different gearbox and a few other bits and pieces, different inlet manifold I fitted from a Corsa, and that gave me bits left over that I was able to sell then and make a bit of money back from that job lot of stuff that I bought. So it all kind of helps save money.
So what subframes are you having to run then to fit that engine? Are you still using the standard Mini ones but just modified, or have you used...
Yeah, I modified. So I was trying to buy just a bulkhead forward of a Mini to put in the garage and try and build everything on, but I was finding it really hard to find that cut piece of a car. So what I ended up doing was, I've got an auto subframe that I just had sitting around from another car that I bought at some point. So I just hung the engine off an engine crane over the subframe and just worked out cutting bits away and welding bits in, and bought some 25 by 25 mil box section and sort of built up the subframe around it and welded bits of brackets to hold all the suspension mounts in the same place while I cut the middle out of them, and yeah, just kind of made it fit.
Nice. If it fits, it sits.
Exactly. Yeah.
So you kind of fabricated the engine mounts in this auto subframe, and then you just basically dropped the old subframe and put that one in. Is that kind of what you did?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, took the old subframe out and then fitted this one that I'd kind of created, and then sat the engine in it. So, because I've got the fiberglass removable front, so it's dead easy to sort of get all that in and out at the front.
Yeah, because that was kind of my question. Is that a common engine swap? Like over here, it's if you're swapping an engine, it's a Honda engine, some sort of Honda engines, obviously. But is that I mean, I don't know if common is the right word, but is there a kit for that you kind of decided to just make your own, or is that something that people don't necessarily normally do?
You can buy an all-speed subframe, which is kind of a universal engine swap frame, and then you just weld on mounts and stuff. And they used to sell some Vauxhall drive shafts for minis. I don't know if they still do. So there was stuff out there to do it. But I think like in the States, everyone's putting Honda engines in now, aren't they, or motorcycle engines. So when I go to car shows and I take the bonnet off, I put the engine cover on. I don't normally have it on, but I put it on just because it says Vauxhall in big letters, and people, oh crikey, that's unusual. It's normally Honda engines, isn't it? But
Yeah.
20 years ago, it was all Vauxhall engines because nobody had ever thought of the idea of putting a Honda engine in something.
Yeah.
So.
Well, do you remember the blue Mini with I think it was a C20 let, not the Z20 let, with it sticking out the bonnet? Can't remember whose it was. It was in Mini World a few years ago.
I can't remember that, but
No,
C20.
that's what gone.
I was just going to say the C20 red tops and the let engines. They probably are still a better one to put in, but they're great engines.
Yeah, because a lot of guys, I think they had to either extend the wings or put a clubman front end just to fit those lumps in.
You can buy ABS Motorsport sell a 90mm extended fiberglass front, don't they? And I think they look dreadful. So I was quite determined to, when I do mine, not to have to get one of those. So it all looks rather squeezed in, and it actually touches on the cam belt cover a little bit on the wing. But oh
well. What other kind of modifications do you have to do to fit something like this? Like, because it doesn't look like, obviously you said it's a fiberglass front end, but it doesn't look, like super wide wheels or poking that much. Like, it looks quite at home in there.
Yeah, the front suspension's in exactly the same place it was in the Mini, so I haven't widened anything or done anything like that. One thing you can't see in the photos is the front subframe actually sort of comes out and across at the front behind the number plate. So there's actually a hole cut in the fiberglass, so the fiberglass slots over the subframe and the number plate's actually screwed to the front of the subframe. But that's because the gearbox sits so far forward, and I needed space for the exhaust to go underneath as well. So I had to do that, and then yeah, just the drive shafts. I got a friend with a lathe who could machine some mini drive shafts and the original Vauxhall drive shafts. So there were one sort of a chamfer on each side with a pin, so they were pinned together. And then a friend of mine used to be a professional welder, so I took them to him because I thought it's far better he weld it than I try and do it. He's a professional. They've held together so far, so they're a little bit out of balance, but they're not the worst. But yeah, that's it really. And then I had to drill a hole through the bulkhead to put the gear selector through, just
Right.
above the steering rack. But other than that, yes, that was about it.
Huh.
It's a cool build, man. I love it.
And then the brakes, I've had to make my own pedal box to mount the master cylinders inside. They're aftermarket master cylinders mounted inside for the brake and clutch, but they're the same dimensions as the mini ones, so they work the same way.
Easy enough. Yeah, it's a cool build. I'm excited to kind of see more from it, and to be honest with you, I'm excited to kind of dive into the archives of the YouTube here too, to watch some of the build and the racing and stuff like that, because it looks like you have quite a few videos of all of that, really.
Yeah. Yeah.
How long?
Sorry. Well,
How long you been doing the YouTube stuff for then?
I started ages ago. There was a group of us in around 2017 that all started sort of kind of started doing the same sort of thing. There was Will Murphy, Alex Toon, Cole was obviously well established by that point. Kev was well established. Paul P was one. Dave Jaguar over in Austria. I'm probably missing some of the people, but there was a real big group of us, and we all started sort of commenting on each other's videos and then sharing stuff on Facebook or whatever, and then WhatsApp groups started, and then we'd all kind of had this target. There was a few of us. I think Will had a load of work to do. Matt, Mini Matt TV, he had a load of work to do. And there was a few of us, and Kev was always trying to get Bernie the 1275 GT ready for IMM 2019. There was a few of us that decided that 2019 IMM will book a camping pitch together, and we'll all get together and get horrendously rained on and all the rest of it. But yeah, it was about the same time. There was quite a lot of us. Most of those guys have been quite successful at it. I just don't put the effort in. I go through phases where I really enjoy filming and editing the videos and talking to people when I upload, but then I go through phases where primarily I enjoy working on the cars. I enjoy playing with my Mini and other stuff, and I just can't be bothered to faff about with the camera sometimes. So it kind of
it's such a faff.
Yeah.
I just learned that word.
Mike's been using it for the past month, like non-stop.
I'm
proud of you, man.
Listen, it is a faff. It is a faff. I've talked about that. I've been trying to bring myself to do it for Mini Life, and just because Sean and I both have kind of our own projects going on, and I enjoy filming and photography and editing. I really do, but it's you hit the nail on the head. It's a faff sometimes. I just want to work on the car and tinker on my car instead of set up shots and kind of tell the story. But wow.
I think a lot of the things that people don't realize is that if they haven't done it and they're wanting to get into it, is that 90% of the time you're spending more time setting up the cameras and the angles, making sure it's all right, than you are actually working on the car. And it's so time consuming doing it like that. The people that do it, like yourself, Adam, my hat goes off to you, because I couldn't do it.
It can get more frustrating, because I've started installing a Speedwino ECU, so I've spent a bit of time over the last couple of months doing bits and pieces at a time and trying to video bits, and I've done time lapses and bits and pieces, but then something had gone wrong with the microphone when I was loading the bits of the video, and I've got loads of, I'm quite far on with it, but it's just rubbish now, because I'm a big, I think when you're watching a video, I can put up with grainy, poor quality footage if the sound's good. If the sound's not very good, then you just turn off immediately, don't you? So
that's it. It's all about engagement.
Yeah,
it's tricky. I should have filmed my radiator swap the other day. That would have been an easy one. I feel like a lot of times too, I'm like, I can film this job and maybe load it, and then I'm like, this is gonna be a dirty job. Like, it's just good. And then I'm like grease all over the camera and shit's everywhere in my little garage.
I would pay to watch that and see you
honestly,
mess around like that, Mike. Honestly, I'll be dying with laughter.
I should do like what what's his name? What Ollie does, like just let it roll. To live stream it.
Everything's on fire in the background with him. Yeah,
dude, that guy's crazy, man. He was spraying brake cleaner on his hand for clean it off. I was like, that's not good.
Honestly, if health and safety saw him, my God.
I've had brake cleaner on my hand before. I didn't intentionally spray it on there though.
I've done it. I've used it to get the worst of the oil off.
That's it. Bit WD-40 even. That works a treat.
Right. Do not follow those recommendations, everybody. I'm sure it works well.
It tastes great when you're eating a sandwich straight after as well.
Wow. What other projects you got going on here? I see a pretty sweet Volvo. Is that just kind of a daily driver? You racing that thing too?
No, that was a daily driver up until a couple of months ago. So it's got
Oh,
quite a long story. The Volvo. When I was a teenager, my dad had a Austin, or was it Austin or Rover by then? I'm not sure. It might have been Rover Montego, which you
Oh,
probably, I'd imagine you've probably never heard of, Mike. But
nope.
they're they're pretty rubbish British Leyland.
they rusted
Really
out
like
quicker
them.
than they went.
Horrendous. He got rid of it when it was 7 years old, and the rear arches were non-existent at 7 years old. I've never had a car that new. But so I was a teenager, probably I think I was 14, and I was a massive car enthusiast. I used to buy Top Gear magazine every month, and I'd go through all the new car specs in the back, and I'd always I'd read it cover to cover within weeks. So my dad come to me and said, "I need to. We're going to replace the Montego. I've got a couple of cars I'm interested in. Can you? This is my budget. Can you have a look in the back of your magazine and find something that he wanted? He had some very specific conditions: electric windows. He didn't want body coloured bumpers because they have to pay money to paint them. He wanted a sunroof, no air conditioning because he didn't want it to go wrong, no leather,
Smart.
and very specific things. So looking at he always had brand new cars, and looking through the list of brand new cars, there was all I could come up with was a Vauxhall Astra Estate, and it had to be an estate. Um, the Astra Estate's quite a small thing; it's not really a family car, so. He decided he'd start looking at second-hand cars, and he'd seen in one of my magazines he'd seen a review of a Volvo 940. So he said, "Oh, I might go and have a look at one of those." So I found him a couple more articles about them, and off he went to the Volvo dealer, and he ended up buying that one. It was just was it just over 3 years old, I think, when he bought it. Done 11,000 miles. He bought it in end of January in 1997. So
Wow.
he said then, "This is the last car I'll ever buy," and he wasn't wrong. So yeah, he absolutely treated it like a baby. It was the most modern thing. It's the first car he'd ever bought with a cat. It was when we used to have to push it out the garage if he wanted to wash it and push it back in again because he'd heard that starting the engine for a short time would damage the cat, or he'd go for a drive for 10 miles down the dual carriageway and back afterwards just to get the cat warmed up and that sort of thing. So yeah, he kept that, and then he passed away in 2018. But before he died, he said, "I can't drive anymore." We'd actually gone for a drive around the block just to see if he could, and I spent more time grabbing the steering wheel and helping him turn
Oh,
it than he was quite
Oh,
old. He was 86 by then, so
oh wow.
done
um,
well.
he decided it was time to give up driving. He says, "Will you get rid of the car for me? I don't need it anymore." "Well, get rid of it, Dad. I've had my eye on that for the last 20 years." So that was January 18. I said, "I'll have it if you don't mind." "Well, do what you want with it." So I had a E39 touring at the time, so I got rid of that and then just kept the Volvo and daily drove it for most of the last 5 years, and then put some new wheels on it and lowered it a bit, and then last summer we decided we were going to buy a caravan, and I towed the Mini a couple of times with the Volvo on a trailer, and it wasn't the best 2 litre NA. It was a bit sluggish. It struggled, so I bought a 5 Series Estate and for towing the caravan. So I've still got the Volvo. I'll never get rid of it. It's just stashed away in a garage for the time being until I've got the time and space to spend a bit of money on it.
Turn it into a drag car.
Well, I have thought about that, but I really couldn't bring myself to chop anything up or weld a cage in, or I want to keep it nice.
Yeah.
It's in quite nice condition. My dad always kept it in a garage. So yeah,
I I think it looks badass right now with those wheels on it. The gold like kind of gold color on the wheels with the
yeah,
red looks so good.
yeah.
You should
I've
do
got those.
you should do another engine swap and use it as your tow rig.
Yeah, the thought crossed my mind, if LSs were as cheap over here as what they are over there, I'd have definitely bought one.
Yeah.
That was literally my first thought. I was like, you should LS swap that thing.
Yeah, that would be perfect. But by the time you've got an engine and gearbox, you're probably 4 grand into it already over here, aren't you?
Yeah.
Well, it's
Yeah.
still sat in a pallet, so yeah.
Yeah, they used to be cheap. I don't know. I guess you could probably still go to the junkyard and pull one out of something, but
Yeah.
huh. Wow, that's cool. Any other projects you got going on? Anything
Um,
upcoming for the Mini for getting I don't know, is race season coming up?
yeah, I've got quite a lot to do. I think I've got 5 weeks till the first meeting, and I've got home from Santa Pod end of last year, I think October, and I've not really done a lot. Started the Speedwino install. I've got to modify my plenum chamber to fit a cable throttle body and refit my original throttle pedal. I've got to finish the wiring. Excuse me. Finish the wiring for the Speedwino, and I really need to get the subframe out of the car as well, because when I was driving back down the return road after my last run, I had my left foot under the pedals just as I was driving along, just as you do, stretch your leg out over where the subframe mount is, and as I was on and off the throttle, I could feel it flexing. So I think I think Matt from Urchfab, he made a brace that you can buy, didn't he, for that toe board area? So I think I need to patch it up and brace that area a little bit, which is annoying.
Note to self: don't put my foot down there.
Yeah, you don't want to feel that. Subframe got
don't want to do that one.
So yeah, I've got to get that out, and I'll have to weld that up and try and brace it somehow. Put a plate on the inside or something, maybe.
Tell me, Adam, what kind of steering wheel do you have in that Mini?
I have a Mountney steering wheel.
Oh. Good man.
Oh, would you look at that?
I listened to the episode with Dan from Mountney this morning, and when I was working on something else, and I thought, I've got a Mountney steering wheel. That was good. It came with the car when I bought it, so.
Hey, even better.
I like that design too. Yeah. It looks good.
It's a cool wheel, man.
There's something I'd like. There's only one thing I don't like about it. It's quite far away. I have the seat quite far back, which makes your legs quite comfortable, but the steering wheel's quite far. I like a little bit deeper dish or a spacer. If you could get like a 3-inch spacer to set the wheel away a little bit on, that'd be quite handy, wouldn't it? Maybe,
Jody, Dan, let's make that happen.
Yeah.
Hey, for any of our listeners out there, actually, sorry, Adam, to cut you off there. If you have been living under a rock, go use our discount code at the website, MiniLife10. Check out 10% off. Who's going to argue with that? Mountney steering wheels. Let's go.
Yeah, absolutely. We got some deep dishers in there, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think there is a couple of there's some really nice ones there.
You know that what might actually fix that, Adam, is a quick release. You can do a quick release hub that might push it out a little bit further towards you and help you get in and out of the car. There you go.
Do Mountney do a quick release hub? Do they?
So Mountney, I believe, if I'm correct, Dan, Jody, you can feel free to step in at any point on this. I think Mountney directly don't make them anymore, but I got mine from Mini Spares. I got the Snap Off Boss.
I've looked into steering wheels before, and that the stud pattern, whatever you call it, the bolt pattern on the Mountney wheel is quite different to a lot, isn't it?
Yeah. So I've got like the 6 stud.
Yeah.
For the Snap Off Boss, it's on the M range.
Right.
I sent you one that had. We'll talk after the air about it, but I'm pretty sure I found one because I was gonna get it. But
I think
I'm sure there's some out there.
Yeah,
there's like a multi-use one that might work for you.
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. Cause I've just bought at Bingley Hall. I bought a roll cage that I'm going to fit in. I want to put some door bars in as well, just because, just purely for safety. Because while I'm not going that fast, the car in the other lane next to me could, if he leaves after me, he could be going 150 mile an hour, couldn't he, and crash into me. So
it's the last thing anyone wants. Yeah.
Yep. 100%. Absolutely. Adam, you want to do a little Patty probe here?
Yeah. Go on then.
Let's do it.
Let's make him sweat, Mike. Come on.
I thought you were quite mean to Dan with that Clevis pin one. I could hear the timing.
Hey, he gave a good answer back though.
Oh man, let's start with what is your least favorite mini variant? Let's get a little controversial here.
Moke.
Oh,
why do people hate on the Moke so much?
It's just you might as well just sit on a skateboard with an engine, hadn't you? I just don't get it.
Dang.
Oh man, Adam, you were here, man.
Dang. All right.
Oh, jeez.
All right. Everyone's trying to get us canceled with that answer. Jeez. And all right, fine. Well, what's your favorite?
Favorite?
Go on, say the Mini Moke.
No, I don't know really. I like things like mine. Mine's an 850 that I'm not a purist. I like to modify things, change things, and make them the way I am. So I guess the ones that aren't worth so much or have less kind of notoriety are the ones that I enjoy, because seeing what people will do to their own thing, put their own stamp on them. So yeah, I'm definitely a budget friendly kind of a mini fan.
I like that. I like that too. I mean, because someone else on the show said something similar. Is like, at the end of the day, they're all very similar, right? Like, all right, Cooper S Mark 1 has the name behind it, but realistically it's generally the same thing as your 850. You can make it the 850 just as cool by putting a Vauxhall engine in it, I guess.
Yeah,
they're all fun to drive at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's true.
Let's see here. We haven't asked this one in a while. 10-inch, 12-inch, or 13-inch?
So I've been on 10-inch because they were the best. I've never had any reason to move away from 10-inch because they look cool. 10-inch Wellers, 10x6 Wellers are my thing. However, since drag racing, I'm quite restricted by tyre size. On 10-inch, you've got a 145 or a 165, whereas on 13-inch, I can have a 175 or even a I've got a 200 slick. I haven't got one in here at the moment. 200 slick, but there's a 175 slick as well for a 13-inch. So also, if I ever get a lot more power, you can get a 13-inch drag radial. So
get that wrinkle on.
Maybe in the future, yeah. So 13-inch now, I think, but I have been 10-inch for a very long time.
Is there a specific wheel that you absolutely love and want for? You like the Wellers. Is there another 10 or a 13 that you're eyeing?
I don't know. Whichever ones are the cheapest, really.
My man.
I wanted a set of 13-inch wheels, and I kept offering them. People selling them on eBay kept sending offers and getting knocked back. And there was a guy I think I'd offended on eBay. I kept offering him 70 quid for a set. They were just 13x7 midi lights. The paintwork was a mess, and he kept advertising for 150 quid, and I just kept sending 70 quid, and I got a snotty message back from him. And then I saw him pop up on Facebook about 2 months later for 100 quid. So I sent him 70 quid. I don't know if he made the connection, but he said, yeah, right, then come and get him. They're getting in my way. So I did. I went and got him.
Wear him down, Adam. Wear him down.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I love that.
If you want something, you just got to be patient, and eventually you'll find it at the price that you want to pay. So, yeah, so they're mini lights. I've not painted them. I shared some pictures with a couple of the guys, Cole and Steve and Alex, and they were like, "You're going to paint them, though, aren't you?" No. Why would I paint them?
No.
They're still
drag wheels,
even if I don't paint them. So yeah.
Paint weighs something. You got to keep it flaky.
Yeah, let your shit oxidize. Why not?
Yeah. Well, I want to get a couple of 12 so I can run a 145 on the back, and then I can have a 175 on the front just for lower rolling resistance.
Yeah, less drag and give you that rolling ratio. Yeah.
And to pick the back end up, because when I put the 13-inch slicks on the front with 10-inch on the back, the front of the car's up in the air, which is all wrong for when you launch and the weight goes backwards. It's taking the weight off the front of the car, so I need to alter that rake and get it a bit more nose down. I think what Ollie was saying on the grass track, they do that, don't they? The brand new cones in the back and the worn out ones in the front.
Yeah, in the front, right. Wow, interesting. Huh. Well, let's see here. I guess we can end it on everyone's favorite. If you could have a drink, coffee, beer, tea with one mini celeb, who would it be?
I've been thinking about this question. I think I would like to share an instant coffee with Cole Gentry of Classic Mini DIY.
Hey!
Yeah, let's go.
I'd like to see his reaction when I served him a instant coffee.
I was literally gonna say he'll throw that in your face. I feel like doesn't he got like that fancy like Italian espresso, an instant cup. Cole, let's make that happen. I'd love to see that. Oh sheesh, that's good. I love it. I love it. Well, Adam, is there anything else you want the people to know? Everyone go check him out at Adam what is it? Adam Campion Cars. I keep wanting to say Campion's Cars. Campion Cars. And The Cars Life on YouTube. Go check them out. Anything else you want the people to know?
Adam Campion on TikTok as well, or Adam_Campion. I don't post so much anymore on there, but I did post quite a bit on there at one point, so got
there we go.
11 million views on a video of ice coming out of hose pipe. So.
Dang.
That's a funny thing.
Wow.
TikTok,
Dang, TikTok gets some crazy views. What the heck?
Really
Are those real? Like, how is that possible?
Yeah.
Wow. Interesting. Well, everybody, go check them out. Follow us at minilife.37. Send us an email, theminilife37@gmail.com if you want to be on the show and share your story. And Sean, do you want to cut off our ending, or are you good to go?
I mean, I'm chill. It's Sunday afternoon. I'm good, my man. I've had my rum and coke. It's empty. We've had another great we've had another great guest on this week. I've got nothing more to say apart from we'll see you guys on the next one.
All right then, we'll catch you guys on the next one.
See you later.